We're going to be looking at what is known as advanced storage techniques. So different ways we can actually store our data. Really, really simple. This is all about not just storing, but it's going to be also about how we access the data. So it's storing, accessing, but also manage the data. We're going to be looking at the benefits of different types of storage we can use out there in today's day and age. So let's begin. What we have in front of us right now is a concept called RAID. RAID is known as redundant array of inexpensive disks. RAID. This is a process, or shall we say this is a technique of what we could use to store data. And we store it on multiple hard disks. So each one of these is a hard drive. The way it works is the following. There are different levels of RAID that we could be talking about. We've got RAID 0, which is striped. I want you to think of a team of workers. So we've got a team of workers where each worker is given a part of a job to complete. So I want you, let's imagine we're building a house, the floor, the roof. If you have a large job, like in this situation, it's split amongst two different workers. This will mean that any job which we want doing is going to be done faster because we've got more people doing it. However, the problem is that if one person is injured or is out of action, we can't proceed. That is how RAID 0 works. We have multiple hard drives, such as this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. They're each doing a different job. However, if one goes down, the whole system goes kaput. We can't do anything more. And that's called RAID 0. So we can store data on these multiple hard drives, they all work together, doing different jobs, but if one goes down, game over. We then have something called RAID 1, mirrored. So I want you to imagine having two copy machines. So you've got this one and this one. In fact, let's do it here and here. They both make copies of the same document. So let's imagine that we've got homework and it's like an essay on Macbeth. It'll be here on this hard drive, and also it'll be here on this hard drive. And it's done at the same time, these copies. If one goes down, one hard drive goes down, we still got another one here. The negative is it's going to be a little bit slower. It's slower because we're making copies. When we make a copy, it's going to be slower, but it's safe. It's way safer than RAID 0. We finally have another version of RAID called RAID 3 to 6. So these are version numbers. Striped, party. And you're like, what? Well, let me explain how that works in itself. We've got our different hard drives. So hard drive, hard drive, hard drive, hard drive. They're working as a group. Each member does a part of a work. So let's say we're building the house again. This does the floor. And this does the bedroom. This does the roof. And now you might turn around and say, yo, how's that different to RAID 0? Well, here's the thing. They also provide a summary of what they've done or what they're doing. If one goes down, another could use the summary to help complete the task. So if the person doing the floor gets sick, for example, the person doing the bedroom can use the summary and can continue doing the task itself. So that means that we've got speed because we've got multiple people working on it, and safety. If one goes down, we can still continue. So imagine we're working on a big project or big task to do data processing. Each hard drive is responsible for a different job, all working together, but if one goes down, we've got backups because of the summary. We can continue. So that is RAID 0, RAID 1, and RAID 3 to 6. RAID 0 is striped, where they work independent. Well, they work as part of a job. It's split amongst different workers, different disks. However, one disk goes down, as in there's an error, and the job can't be completed. We've then got mirrored, where it creates a copy of the task at the same time, but it's going to be slightly slower, but safer. We then got the Stripe Party version 3 to 6, where it's similar to RAID 0, but they provide a summary which allows data to be processed. If this one breaks, we can continue our work because of that summary. So that is RAID. But moving on from RAID, we've also got another way we can store data and access it and manage it, and that's called the network attached storage. It's a device which is connected to a network, so we can see we've got a switch here, servers, etc. And it allows us to retrieve data, store data from a central point, a centralized location. Okay, nothing special so far. I want you to think of this NAS, Network Attached Storage, as like a library which anyone can attend in the neighborhood. So we've got a library anyone can attend in the neighborhood, where everyone can bring their books. So you've got little Bo Peep, she brings a book. You've got little Declan brings a book, and you've got little Andrew who brings a book. And these books can then be shared amongst each other. NAS allows multiple people on a network, so that's multiple people using the computer network, to share their files as if they're storing it on their own computer. So the files will be stored on here, but it'll feel like it's actually on your computer. So let's imagine that we have on here a finance document. This person wants to just edit it. Instead of actually getting the file from this person, it's stored here. So they access it, it gets put onto their computer, but it feels like it's running on their own computer. It's quick, it's fast. And that was the network attached storage. You must be attached to a network in order to use this. The third technique is what's known as high availability storage. These are basically storage devices which are available all the time. So they're available all the time, they're operational all the time, and we've got a reduced chance of being down, so reduced downtime. So imagine a hospital that must be operational. So you've got all these beds in this hospital, and it must be operational 24/7. It relies on the power grid. So you've got like a power grid which provides electricity to the hospital, to these beds in the hospital where we've got life support systems all hooked up. It has a main grid. It also has a generator, these hospitals, because if the grid goes down, you've got the generator in itself. So it will never go down, even without power. So let's imagine this grid gets knocked out, you still have the generators to power this hospital. So in this situation, it uses what's called redundant components. Data is always going to be available. This basically means you can always access data. Even if a storage system fails, you can still access the data without any issues. And that is high availability storage. So we've looked at RAID, where we looked at RAID 0, RAID 1, and RAID 3 to 6, striped with parity. We looked at network attached storage, And now we've looked at high variability storage. Let's have a look at the next one. So the next one is called a storage area network, a SAN, which is what you see here. It's all about high speed dedicated network, where we've got what we call a pool of storage. That means storage working together. Which are basically attached to different servers. So these servers are attached to this pool of different storage. So think of SAN as like a road system at a larger airport. Just as luggage, passengers, airplanes move between different terminals and runways along dedicated paths, so does SAN. It allows data to be sent absolutely rapidly between the storage and the servers without slowing things down, without affecting traffic. So let's imagine that we've got a game on here, and this person says, I want to play the game. They send a request to the server gets it from the storage, and it's going to be rapid to be retrieved. And remember, the storage is working together as a pool. We now have our favorite cloud storage. Cloud storage is basically sending data to a server, which is in a remote location, but it's still physical. It means it's still there. It's a machine which is somewhere in the world, but it can be accessed by any device on the internet. That is cloud storage. A remote server, which is physical, can access or be accessed by any device connected to the internet. You can withdraw data, you can access data from anywhere in the world, as long as you've got internet connection. And finally, we've got hosted storage. So it's basically any storage like these servers, but it's managed by an external company. So external service provider. Somebody else takes care of it all for you. So we've got RAID. Don't forget 015. NAS, network attached storage. High availability storage. Storage area network, cloud storage, and hosted storage. Finally, very quickly, let's give some uses for each one. So RAID is really good if we're using RAID 0. So I'm going to put RAID 0 here. I want you to picture a situation for a video editing company, where you've got all the different workstations working together. So you've got different computers working together to speed up the situation of editing a video, rendering. So if I turn this into a video right now to put onto YouTube, it'll take me about 40 minutes. But by combining all of these RAID storage devices together, it should take 5 minutes instead. So that's really useful for RAID 0. RAID 1 would be like websites, or vital websites where you want the website to be mirrored, so if one goes down, you've got a backup one somewhere else. So if my fancy learning website goes down on one server for RAID 1, so let's turn this to RAID 1 for a second. If one site goes down, I've still got another backup here. NAS, well, let's imagine you've got a small law firm and you've got sensitive legal documents. It allows people to access things remotely, and things can be backed up. High availability storage, like online banks. So it's always down no matter what. So it's always working no matter what. Minimum in terms of downtime. SAN, let's imagine you've got a hospital, as we used in my example. And let's imagine that you want to store patient records for MRIs. You've got fast access, speed, quality for your patients. Cloud storage, let's imagine you're a business and you've got customer information and documents. So businesses, it allows you to work all over the world and access your data from any physical location, as long as you've got internet connection to access. Hosted storage, well, if you're like an e-commerce website and you want it to be fast, quick, secure, companies will pay these hosted storage companies to take care of all of the data storage, to make sure it's secure, maintained by experts, never down, so your website, your e-commerce website just continues 24/7 as well.